wanna say thank you, Lord. I wanna say thank you, Lord, for your unfailing love, your unfailing love. On the cross, the crown of thorns, you took them for me. Oh, I wanna say thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I wanna say thank you, Lord. Love you, Lord. Come on, just sing to him. Oh, we sing to you, oh Lord. Your bride sings to you in the earth. Love songs. Love songs. Sing your love songs, oh Lord. Your love songs, oh God. La 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 la.
Yeah. All right. We'll see how much you'll be clapping by the time I get done. I'm going to be talking to you about dating and some of the important aspects that we as Christians should be looking at when it comes to the idea of dating. I want to share one Bible verse with you, and then we'll move on from there. This Bible verse is found in Romans, the 12th chapter. It says this. Paul writes, he says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world." Why does he got to tell us to do that? Because it's really easy to conform to the pattern of the world. The way that everybody around us, people by and large who are not Christians, just our secular culture, they have a way of viewing things, a way of approaching life. And overwhelmingly, it's extremely easy to get caught up in the pattern of the culture around us instead of the biblical pattern. In fact, I would dare argue that the biggest problem that we're having in Christianity today and why so many Christian marriages are failing just like secular marriages is because we are following the pattern of our secular culture instead of following the pattern that God sets for us. I want to talk to you about dating. Now, there's some debate nowadays about dating versus courting. They say, well, dating is just for fun, courting is for serious, looking for a spouse kind of things. I don't know, to me it's all kind of semantics. To me, when I talk about dating, I'm talking about courting. I'm talking about when you start spending any kind of serious time with another person, this is supposed to be intentional. That's not to say that, if your mom and dad say it's cool, if you're younger and you want to go out in groups and stuff like that, fine. But by the time you start really starting to spend a lot of time with one person, you are now headed down the path of serious dating. Okay? And the purpose of dating is really simply this: to discover whether or not this person would make a suitable lifetime mate. That's really what it's for. Now, a lot of people don't take dating really seriously. They think it's more about trying to discover your soul mate. You know, everybody talks about their soulmate, and eHarmony.com, helping you find your soulmate. Everybody's looking for their soulmate, and all these stupid chick flicks. Have you seen all these flicks? You know, they're all about finding your soulmate. And if you can really find your soulmate, I mean, amazing things happen. You know, they'll cross great distances or huge obstacles. Some movies have them crossing time barriers and stuff. You know, all because I need to connect with my soulmate. And there's that one special cosmic being out there just for you. No, there's not. Okay, you gotta understand about dating. It's all fair game. Don't get caught up in your emotions, letting your emotions drive it, and take your head and put it in a box somewhere. If you will pay attention, you will start succeeding more. People will start finding people that they can really connect with and build a life together with. I'm shocked at how, I'm telling you, the number one thing I hear from single Christian people is the following phrase. I'm just praying God will send me a spouse. I'm just praying God will send me a man. I'm just praying God will send me a woman. What are you, Moses? You think God's going to just fly somebody in for you? For crying out loud, quit over-spiritualizing and being so goofball. You want to find somebody, you got to go find where the people are at. Man, if you're living in Alaska of a town of 12 people, and you want to find a spouse and you're praying.
When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no.
It is time for Yes with Yesse. Please welcome your host, Yesenia Leva.
Good afternoon, new season. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are listening from. It is Thursday. We're here. We made it. I made it. I made it. It is Thursday. What is it? It's the 27th. We have like one more day until the month of February is over. Oh my God. And then we go into March. And there we go, you know, day by day, month by month. It just goes by really, 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 really fast. And so, hey, that's why we have to enjoy every second of every day that we have on this earth. So good evening, good morning, wherever you are listening from. Apologies for the delay, but we were having technical difficulties, of course, but little by little, we are able to figure it out together. So thank you guys so much for listening in, for joining. Please, as you come in, share the broadcast. Let others know that we are here with Yes with Yesse. And we're going to talk a little bit. We are going to talk just a little bit about something that is close to heart to me, of course. It's what I do and what I see every single day. I wanted to talk about it because just things that have been happening, if you will, with certain individuals that I work with at work, some of my students, some things that have been happening with this particular one and his particular disability and diagnosis and all of that, and how I'm able to interact with him is pretty awesome for me. It's pretty awesome because not everybody can, right? People tell me all the time, like, how do you do this? I don't know how you do this. You know, how do you communicate with them? How do you understand them? And so for me, it's very special. It's very unique, and I absolutely love it, love it, love it. But today we had some difficulties, right? Some difficulties, some hard times in the past couple of days. And, you know, he started off being really, really well behaved and all these different things. And now it's a little different. So I wanted to talk to you about specifically autism and intellectual disability, which we call any disability related to the brain, and how all of that relates, in a sense, how it relates, and the autism. Like, I see this particular student, and I tend to just look at them and like diagnose them in a sense. Like, this one has this one, este tiene eso, just by the way they behave, act, the things that they do or they don't do, and the things that they do, not because of their disability whatsoever, their diagnosis, but because they're just people, they're kids, right? Even though they're adults, they have the intellectual ability of a child or of a young kid, and sometimes they just do things to act out. At least with me, they do. They just, you know, do things to either act out, or they do things to be cute, or they do things to know because they know that they're going to get my attention, right? Just like our typical neurotypical kids. They do things to get our attention. And that is what one of my students says all the time. I'm like, dude, I know you can do better. Like, get it together. I literally talk to him like this. So I want to talk to you guys about that. I want to talk to you guys about different, the different versions, if you will, or the different stages and types of autism that exist in the world today. There's different ones, right? So I'm going to go through what those different ones are and just touch a little bit on each one, because I think it's important that we as a people, as a society, as people that maybe we are not exposed to this world of disability on a daily basis, I think it's so important to be able to see a person, a student, a young adult, a teenager, a kid, and kind of, I don't want you to diagnose. Don't be a Yesse and diagnose. I don't want you to do that, but I do want you to have the enough etiquette to know, okay, maybe this person, whatever their age is living with something, all right? And let's try to better understand and have positive etiquette towards this individual, instead of having that mindset of, why are they not looking at me? Why are they not saying good morning, good night, good evening? How are you? Or, why do they not, what's the word? Interact in conversation, those are questions that we should ask, versus assuming that they're just being rude, or, oh my gosh, you're not teaching your child any manners, or, sometimes we have the mindset that, they have to say hi because it's the right thing to do, right? Or it's polite. Yes, of course, all of that. It's true, but I think we are missing the point, if you will, of, are they literally able to do this, right? Yes, of course, we want them to be courteous, say hello, good morning, good afternoon, all these things, but do they literally have the ability to do this? Do they have the ability to do this? Absolutely. But how are we interacting with them to teach them, how? Sometimes they literally don't know how. It's not that they don't want to, they literally don't know how. So how are we interacting and working together to teach our kids, regardless of the diagnosis, to say good morning, good night, good afternoon, to address you and I the way we want to be addressed, and all that good stuff, right? And so you might think that because they're of a certain literal age, they know better. Yeah, they may know better, or you may think that they know better, but it's not so much about them knowing better. It's more about, do they have the ability to do it, right? Or why is it that they don't do it? For me, I'm a different breed, I think, because I'm in this world so much, right? So I've come to understand and learn, I've come to learn why certain things don't happen, and when we want them to happen. I've talked a lot about different situations and circumstances that I have experienced with clients and their parents, like, I'm going to change you, or I'm going to fix you. No, sir, you're not. And so I see a lot. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So I'm just going to play one song for you guys to pull something up for myself, to get to the points. And we're going to talk about, again, a little bit about the different diagnosis, if you will, of autism and other related disabilities. And then we can talk a little bit about what they entail and what you and I can do to make it better. I want to say to make it better, but what you and I can do to make life just a little bit easier for that individual, because believe it or not, they go through a lot. They go through a lot of rejection. They go through a lot of looks and faces and words and all that. And the number one thing that we should never ever assume is the fact that because they have X disability, because they have autism, because they are nonverbal, keep that word in mind, nonverbal, because they are nonverbal, meaning they're not able to speak, doesn't mean they can't hear you, and definitely doesn't mean that they can't understand you. Not being able to literally speak has nothing to do with having an intellectual disability where you have no understanding of the world around you. And I think that is very important to embrace and to understand as people in society and community that do not live with a disability. So really quickly, I want to play this song for you. It's called The Truth. And I've heard it a couple times already because I had to emotionally prepare myself to play it because I was crying. I was teary-eyed. It's so touching to me. And it's touching to me because this is the truth about what we, at some point in our lives as people, have felt and feel. And I feel like for myself living with a disability, it's that much harder, or I should say it has been at some point in my life harder to believe that I am a child of God, to believe that I am perfectly and wonderfully made in his image, to believe that I am worthy of this life, of what I do, of being loved, and all these different things. So the truth is we are worthy. So I want to play this for you guys really quick as I pull up my notes and get started, continue rather on our conversation this afternoon.
How many times can you hear the same lie before you start to believe it? The enemy keeps whispering to me, swear these days it's all that I'm hearing. I used to know who I was, now I look in the mirror and I'm not so sure. Lord, I don't want to listen to the lies anymore. The truth is I am my Father's child. I make him proud and I make him smile. I was made in the image of a perfect king. He looks at me and wouldn't change a thing. The truth is I am truly loved by a God who's good when I'm not good enough. I don't belong to the lies, I belong to you. And that's the truth. When I feel like there's so much noise living rent-free in my head, heaven finds me in a still small voice and it sounds like grace instead. You remind me who I am when I look in the mirror and I'm not so sure. Lord, I don't want to listen to the lies anymore. The truth is I am my Father's child. I make him proud and I make him smile. I was made in the image of a perfect king. He looks at me and wouldn't change a thing. The truth is I am truly loved by a God who's good when I'm not good enough. I don't belong to the lies, I belong to you. And that's the truth. I know who I am, 'cause I know who you are. And I hold your truth inside of my heart. I know the lies are always gonna try and find me, but I've never been so sure. The truth is I am my Father's child. I make him proud and I make him smile. I was made in the image of a perfect king. He looks at me and wouldn't change a thing. The truth is I am truly loved by a God who's good when I'm not good enough. I don't belong to the lies, I belong to you. I belong to you. And that's the truth. And that's the truth.
He looks at me, he wouldn't change a thing. I am a child of God, and that's the truth. Oh my gosh. It was so special. It was so special when I heard it the first time. And I just sat there and I was like bawling because it's exactly what so many of us feel inside, our insecurities, that we feel less than, that we don't feel good enough, that we're not loved by the one who created us, because of that perception that we have been given by society. You're different, you have a disability, you're not good enough, you are not perfect, you don't live up to societal expectations, like all these things that we have to battle so much. And I get emotional every single day, not just one day, every single day. And it gets heavy. It gets heavy. And that is why one of the reasons really why I'm so passionate about just making sure that everybody, but more so people that do not have disabilities, all of us again, but including those that do not have disabilities, are people in our family members, our friends, our community, those in our circle, our leaders. I can't express enough how important it is for you all to be educated on disability etiquette, and just of course, first and foremost, be an overall amazing, kind-hearted human being, loving human being, but also having etiquette on how to treat people with disabilities. And like I say sometimes, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about all of us living together as one. And so it was very powerful, very, very powerful. Sometimes we go through life and we just go. Don't let that fool you to think that person is not going through it, or that person's not feeling an emotion of sadness, of anxieties, or whatever it is. I thank God every single day for his mercies, for his love. I thank him every single day for community, for the people that I have in my life, for my family, because without that, there's no me. I said this to one of our leaders just a couple of days ago, and I mean it. And so be that person, be that community for somebody, be that use your leadership for the good, for the greater good. And so again, I think with that comes being educated on what are all these things, right? So we're going to go through a couple things as it pertains to autism. And I hope this helps somebody that might have a newly diagnosed son or daughter, or maybe you're diagnosed yourself, because you can be diagnosed as an adult as well as a child. So number one, actually, just to give you an overview of just three main characteristics of this thing we call autism. There's different ones. There's autism, there's Asperger's. Those are two main ones, and there's other ones in between, if you will, with different characteristics. Difficulty with communication, behavior, and social interactions. Those three things are the main things, the main characteristics that will let you know that somebody is on the autism spectrum. Now, I say autism spectrum because it's called ASD, autism spectrum disorder, because the spectrum of autism is so big that this person can be on any particular or any given level of autism, from the highest functioning to the lowest functioning of the autism. So again, they will have this diagnosis has the ability, if you will, to give difficulties in communication, behavior, and social interaction. So communication, one of the students that I have, he, just thinking about it today, the behaviors that he had and thinking about it, he might have a level of autism. There's behaviors, there's stimming, which is when they, maybe they move their hands or head, or they are sensitive to different textures. They're very, very high sensitive to noise. Again, interesting that we can all be sensitive to these things, but these are particular items that will let you know that somebody might have this diagnosis. So sensitive to noise, sensitive to textures, sensitive to high levels of noise, and noises like bags and banging or high music, and sensory, anything related to sensory. Difficulty communicating, and I wanted to touch on that one because again, not being able to communicate literally does not mean not understanding, right? So again, my student he quote unquote doesn't talk, but he does. he does say words, and he does say whatever he did over the weekend or whatever he wants. If you give him an option, do you want A or B, he'll let you know what he wants. So a difficulty in communicating on the autism spectrum can mean either having no level of communication, meaning they don't speak at all, they have slight communication, or they communicate like you and I. And even if there is a communication like you and I communicate, there can be delay in the response of this particular person. Why? Because they have to process, as we all should really, they have to process what they just heard, put it in their brain, like, okay, what does that mean? And how do I respond? So there might be delays, if you will, when somebody responds who is on the autism spectrum. Again, I think that's anybody. I think that's anybody that can live with those particular diagnoses or characteristics, rather, of living with this particular diagnosis, that is autism. The other one is behavior. So this person might live with different types of behavior that can maybe it's me, but I'm sorry, I'm hearing music from somewhere. I don't know where it's coming from, but hopefully you guys don't hear it anymore. So there's then the behaviors. There's behaviors. So again, communication, behaviors, and social interactions. Behaviors can be anything. There can be lashing out in behaviors, aggressive behaviors, slight behaviors, good behaviors. It could be literally, absolutely any kind of behaviors. Now, however, whatever that behavior that person is experiencing can escalate rapidly, fast, from A to Z, right? Or like I say at work, from 0 to 100. So if they have behavior issues, they can be super calm, no problem. But what I find is that a lot of these guys don't have a middle. They can be the sweetest, most amazing, well-behaved young adults or kids, but once they get upset, it's over. There's no middle, and so we have to really be careful. I don't want to say we have to be careful. We have to be mindful. We have to be educated on their levels of behavior issues, which is a lot of times in the school system. A lot of our students are punished for bad behavior when in reality they have autism, or they're on the autism spectrum, and they're not showing bad behavior because they're a bad kid. I don't think there's any bad kid, by the way, just because they have bad behaviors because they want to act out. No, it's because they have this diagnosis of autism or somewhere on the spectrum, and they haven't been diagnosed. And there are plans available, which one of them is the BIP, the Behavior Intervention Plan, that can help set a plan for this particular person with autism or on the autism spectrum for their behavior. What can be the behavior? Again, aggressive behavior, different levels of aggressive behavior, and of course that leads to self-harm, verbal, whether it's cursing or whatever the case may be, hurting other people, breaking things, all of that, because they are aggressive, because there's so much overstimulation going on in their body that they don't have a way of releasing it, in a sense, that they're doing what they know. So we as a people spend more time, I think, diagnosing and all this paperwork and all this, medicating these guys, versus what can we do to streamline, or what can we do to calm them, or what can we do, put them in sports. Just in these situations, I think it's so important to treat them like any of your children, right? And like anyone, put them in sports. Put them in adaptive sports, put them, in karate, put them in something. Excuse me. The fact that they have autism doesn't take away the fact that they have, like I always say, talent, skills, and abilities, likes and dislikes. And it's about that self-discovery, or discovering who your child is, and kind of refocusing that behavior from a negative to a positive. because it's literally just this behavior bottled up somewhere that, it's like, what do I do with it? Where do I take it? Right. And I'm talking about when they're, kids, elementary, middle school, going into high school. Now, when you get to high school and you have a 6 foot, 6'3" young man or young woman with behaviors as such, it is super duper important to really make sure that you have your services in place for all ages and all kids. But don't wait until they get to this age and have these aggressive behaviors to get the help that you need, because the help can be out there, but you have to advocate for that, or find an advocate that can help you advocate, that can help you, fill out these applications and things, and critical or crisis letters rather, to get the services as fast as possible. But if you already have a young son or young daughter that is, exhibiting these behaviors, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, act immediately to find help and find services. Do not wait until they're in high school, almost aging out, meaning almost leaving high school into their next stage of their life, whatever that looks like for them, because it's a different route for everybody, to then seek help. Please, please, please seek help way before you get to that level, because then it's hard. It's hard for you as the parent, the caregiver. It's just even more harder really for the person living with this diagnosis of autism themselves, because again, autism doesn't mean not understanding. They understand. They hear you. They hear your conversations around them. So be careful what conversations you have around them. So it's hard for them because they hear you, they understand. So it's like, all these things go in their minds. I'm trouble. I'm a troubled child. I'm a burden for my parents, my family. Like, all these things go through their mind, and that's not fair. So be very mindful of what you say around them. Even if you think, oh, but so and so is so mature, and the way that they act or whatever the case, yes, but if they don't have the ability to speak and express themselves, and you have made that determination, you still have to be careful, even more careful, as to what they hear, because what we don't want is anybody to internalize that which they are hearing from others. So we talked about the difficulties in communication. We talked about behavior and social interaction. The behaviors can be anywhere from restricted and repetitive behaviors or interests. That's interesting to me, because what that means is a lot of people with this diagnosis of autism, they kind of get, as we would say, kind of stuck on one thing. Right. Somebody says, so the parent should tell their doctor to test for autism. Absolutely. If you have any question in your mind, hey, my child is exhibiting these behaviors or whatever the case may be, absolutely get them tested, and please get them tested early. Now, not every, observation or behavior or something like that, not everything leads to diagnosis of autism or Asperger's, but it's better to be safe so that you can act early. Early intervention. Early intervention, as we say, is the best intervention. You want to get it early. So yes, parents should tell their doctor to test for autism. The earlier, the better. Here, we call it early steps. So if the child is between a certain age and a certain age, go to early steps and they will test the child. As soon as you have that diagnosis in hand, start getting the help, start getting the specialist, start getting on the Agency for Persons with Disabilities services here in Florida. Start reaching out to all the help that you need, because you're not going to get it right away. There are waiting lists, there's waiting periods, there's documentation that is needed. So as soon as you have that diagnosis at hand, start making those phone calls to people that can help you. And a lot of people can say, even Avery who's listening in, well, where do people get the help? Where do they call? And that's exactly why I do what I do, because people are not sure. So if you're hearing this later on, or even now, and you're like, well, I might know somebody rather that might be in this kind of situation, I don't know what to do, call me. please call me or email me. Information is there on the screen. 954-529-4586. And the email dptincorporated@gmail.com. And make sure that you get the help that you need. Sometimes it's so much easier to have that person be that middle person for you, just to help you, say the right things. Say the right things that mean something for the people where you are working to get that help. All right. So awesome question. So restricted and repetitive behaviors is one, or interest. So they might want to only play the guitar. That's it. All right. Let them play the guitar. It's okay. It's okay. Never try to deviate them or take them away from that one thing that they are interested in, because that's when the behaviors kick in. So whatever they love to do, let them do it. Unusual behaviors or stereotypical body movements. Yes, a lot of students or a lot of people, rather, they do stemming. So they'll go like this, or they'll cover their ears, or, it's very important to discover why they do the things that they do versus telling them not to do it, because they might do it for a reason. And then what we do is redirect the behaviors to the behaviors that we would like for them to have, as long as they have the ability to do so. Difficulty transitioning from one activity to another. Yes. Okay. Difficulty transitioning from one activity to another. Difficulty transitioning, period. Someone on the spectrum can be doing one activity and that is all they want to do for the rest of the day. That's it. The moment you try to take that away from them or take them to something else, it's over. That's when the behaviors come in and all that good stuff. Change is really difficult for them. Change is difficult for anybody. I have difficulty with change. I'm not a fan. But for people on the spectrum, it's even harder. Something as simple as a schedule change. I remember an organization I worked for. There was constant change. There was constant change of people, constant change of activities, and it used to drive me insane. And I remember telling the staff, like, do people not realize how detrimental these changes are, these, overnight changes are to our students that we work with? Like, what's happening? Like, you would think that I was personally being affected by these changes. Maybe I was. I'm pretty sure I was, because I don't like change. But I tend to suffer, if you will, for them, right? Like, I'm already like mama bear. Like, what are you doing? Why are we doing these changes? This is not good for them. And it's literally not. You could literally feel it in the atmosphere that that they were out of place, that they were out of their comfort zone, that they were, like, what's happening? So overnight, instant change is very, very difficult. And so people might say, well, as I have heard, change is change. You can't do anything about it, right? Yes, change is change and you can't do anything about it. But what you can do is communicate the change. Again, just because the person doesn't speak to you verbally doesn't mean that they don't hear you, doesn't mean they don't understand you. So have those open conversations. I don't know. Tomorrow we're going to change a classroom. We're going to be in another area, whatever that change might be, or soon we're going to be moving to a different house and you're going to make new friends. Whatever that change is, say it out loud. Make it a habit, make it a thing to tell that person that might struggle with change about the change, right? And so by doing that, you're doing a couple things. You are pre-announcing the change. You're giving them time to absorb it and to process it and think about it and all that stuff, but you're also including them in whatever it is that is happening. And so many times we miss the mark on that. It's crazy, right? Well, I think we hear it all the time. I know I do. The one thing that a human being's desire is to be included, is to be acknowledged, is to be, invited and all that. And me, okay, as a person with a disability that is an advocate for inclusion, I think it's very difficult for anybody not to understand that, one of my things that I advocate not only for other people, but for myself, is to be included, right? Is to be included in whatever, in my family and activities and so on and so forth. unfortunately, people very, very close to me missed the mark on that, So please know that for anyone with a disability, son, daughter, yourselves, it's very important to be included. It's very important to be included not only in decision making to the level that they're able to, but it's important to be included in all aspects. Family discussions, dinners, breakfast, going to church, going to activities, family functions, all that stuff. It's very important to be included because we know and we feel when we're not. We know what it feels like. We know what it feels like way too much. So never underestimate the fact that that person is not able to speak and that they don't understand or that they don't feel the need for all of this is the biggest thing for me. Make sure that they are included to the best of your ability. So those are behaviors. Social interactions, poorly developed social skills, trouble imagining the world from someone else's perspective. It's all about their perspective. There's no way for them to imagine this world from a different perspective. It's just not there. Or not understanding others have different thoughts and feelings. It's very hard for them as well. It's kind of like our brain has different compartments, and that part of the brain that says, have consideration for others, or think about others first before yourself. Like they don't have that ability, or some things that we do, going in somewhere and saying hello to family members, with a hug and a kiss. Like their brain is telling them no. Like I don't want to do that. Why do I have to do that? Because of their sensory overload of touching and feeling. Physical touch is not a thing. It's very difficult for them. So if you ask them to hug and to say hello to a family member or whatnot, or even shake a hand, it can be something very difficult. So saying that to say that let's not force these things upon them because it's going to cause behaviors that we could avoid. Not understanding others have different thoughts and feelings, trouble imagining the world from somebody else's perspective, and poorly developed social skills. Very, very important, those poorly developed social skills. But I believe that the social skills can be worked on from a very early age. There are different social skills, different levels of social skills, different groups of social skills, different groups from large groups to small groups that can help in a child's development of social skills. Starting with the basic of self. Who are you? What's your name? How do you introduce yourself? All these different things to then, interacting with other people, interacting with other people from a social standpoint. So all those things do exist in social skills classes for kids and adults, because these social skills or the lack of social skills, of course, is going to affect their future as an adult in the workplace, in college, because they do go to college, or post-secondary school, whatever they choose to do. They do work depending on their functionality and the level of their functionality. So all these things should definitely be taught to them early on as possible, not forgetting or putting on the sideline the diagnosis. I always say person first, right? Person first, disability second, but never, ever, ever should we ignore the diagnosis for whatever reason. Because what we're doing is we're delaying the help that this person could be getting. We are delaying the help that they could be getting. And I talk about this often with different parents. Oh, I didn't know, or I didn't want to acknowledge it, or I was hoping they would grow out of it. You're just making it harder, people. You're just making it harder for them as a person living with these difficulties, because it's not going to go away. They're not going to grow out of it. We need to help them through it. And that's why there's services. That's why there's me. That's why there's advocates. That's why there's so many things available to help you work through it. And never, ever, ever something to say, just get over it. And so again, for everyone else the door openers, the job givers, in a sense, that the people that hire, the directors, the hospitals, everybody else in society. It is our job to make those people who are often, put aside, different. It is our job to embrace and to make them feel comfortable and to say hello when you go in somewhere, or when they come in. Make it a little bit easier. Say hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, and they will respond to you because they are feeling accepted. They're feeling embraced. Like, you're saying hi to me? Yeah. But a lot of times we feel like, you have to come in, you have to say hi to me. Of course, if you don't know, and there's different scenarios to it, right? But if you're aware that this person has a particular diagnosis, what is your expectation? And how can you help them live up to that expectation, as you should, excuse me, in the best way possible, without making them feel like they've done something wrong? Because they didn't do something wrong. They did what they know, and they did what they're comfortable with. And those are completely different things. Completely different things. Okay. So I hope that some of that information has been helpful. And just don't ignore it. If nothing else, just don't ignore the signs of that you see. Don't ignore the signs of what you see, because it could definitely be helpful to catch anything on early. Okay. And so if you say, okay, you know what, I'm seeing some of these things, or some of these signs in my son, daughter, myself, whatever the case, there are resources out there to help you get that diagnosis on paper. If you don't have that diagnosis on paper, it didn't happen. That's the thing that's going to allow you to get services, insurance, Social Security, Medicaid, all that stuff. There are different organizations available for a free or reduced rate according to your income for a diagnosis, a thorough is that how you say it? Diagnosis. So if you need help with that, and you need information with that, not just with the autism spectrum diagnosis, but all diagnoses across the board, feel free to reach out and let me know, and I can help you navigate that world of services and what you can do. So again, early intervention is key. Early intervention is key. If you don't document it, it didn't happen. Right? If you don't document it, it did not happen. And so, just so you guys know as well, the autism spectrum disorder, or what we call ASD, like I said, it's not just this one diagnosis, right? There's a circle of things within this particular diagnosis, from ADD, things with behavior, OCD, where everything has to be perfect and clean and, on point as it should be. There's also codependencies. There's depression. Depression is a big one. Anxieties, ADHD, ADD, all these different things. And anxiety and depression is a big one, not just because the autism itself, brings it along, if you will, but because of, again, all the hardships and all the difficulties that they have to live with, that they when I say they, the people with this particular diagnosis start to develop low self-esteem, leading to depressive behaviors. So one of the things that I advocate for, that I wish I could change, is that a lot of times, because we don't have depression, or we don't take or we don't have a mental health diagnosis, let me say, because we don't have a mental health diagnosis, but we do have emotions, we do have hard times, we do have hard days, we do feel like I don't want to get out of bed sometimes, because we have this primary diagnosis of autism, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, whatever that diagnosis is. A lot of times our mental health goes under the rug and unseen because of the primary diagnosis, not realizing that the effects of the autism, of whatever that disability is causes strain to our emotions, to our mental health, and to who we are, or to who we think we are, right? To our knowledge of ourselves. And I'm working with a client right now with all of that from a life coach perspective, as someone that lives with a disability, which is pretty cool for me to be able to help somebody that way. And so, I would advocate for that as well. If you're going through a newly diagnosis, or get that help get that help as soon as you can, from someone to help that person walk through this diagnosis. Of course, it depends on the age, but if they're an adult, transitioning adult from youth to adulthood, or child to teenager, get them a help from a mentor, a counselor, psychologist, your spiritual leaders. Get them involved, people that they can trust and communicate with, and that will hear them more than anything, that will listen to what they have to say. Get them involved. Get them to church. Please get them to church. Get them to church. I mean, for me personally, I've been involved in church overall my entire life that I can remember, right? And then once you become an adult and you have your voice, life changes, and you learn, and here I am. And so, but I'm so grateful to have been able to experience all those things and be in a place where I'm accepted. So again, remember, as we talked earlier, that's everything for people with any particular diagnosis. Get them out in community. Get yourself out in community. Go to a church home. And I promise you won't regret it. It is something very special. It is something where it's community, and that is going to help you a lot, you and your family, to know that you have support. So again, if anybody needs help, services, guidance as to how to get a diagnosis, let me know, and I will be more than happy to help you. There's a listing of all of some of the services available, and you can send an email to dptincorporated@gmail.com, dptincorporated@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to help you just kind of navigate this world and get going. Or come meet me here. Come meet me here at New Season. I truly believe that this world of disability services, mentorship, is my ministry. It is my ministry. That's what God has left me here on this earth to do, and I'm grateful to do it. So we are right here at New Season Worship Center. We're here. Come join us for service Sundays at 11 a.m. 4660 North University Drive in Lauderhill, Florida 33351. And so you can continue listening on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. Yes with Yesse. Yes with Yesse, where we talk all things community services, the good, the bad, and the ugly of living with differences. And it's to be a voice. The goal is to be a voice to our community as best as we can. So courtesy of New Season Gospel FM, your number one gospel station. All right, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, New Season Gospel FM, and make sure you are aware of newseasonfm.com, newseasonfm.com. And of course, I'm going to ask you to support. If you come on and you hear something that resonates with you, you're like, oh, I learned something, or you were entertained and you love the music as I do, or any of our programmings was a blessing to you, please support your station. This is a people station. So you can support by giving your donation. Cash App is $ New Season WC, New Season WC. Zelle is 954 536-1821, 954-536-1821. You can go right on the website, newseasonfm.com, or PayPal wordmusic47@hotmail.com. Those are the different ways where you can support. And as we say in Spanish, da tu granito de arena. Just put your little piece into being a blessing to our New Season ministry. All right. So, and of course, Share the broadcast. Let others know that we are on. Right now, share the broadcast. Share. I know who shares, by the way. I know how many shares. I know all that. So share the broadcast. Let others know that we are on here on New Season Gospel FM. All right. So on that note, it is almost time to get up on here, out of here. Sorry for the delays earlier today, as we did have technical difficulties, but I finally made it on, and here we are. All right. So thank you again, everyone, for joining, and I look forward to you guys joining me again next time on another episode of Yes with Yesse. If you are there and you're listening in, please make sure to say hello. Say hello, and let us know where you are listening in from. All right. So I'm going to play one more song for you guys before I say see you later, and catch you next week on another episode of Yes with Yesse.
There's a name that can silence every fear. There's a love that embraces the heartache, the pain, and the tears. Through my faith and my doubting, I know one thing for sure. His word is unfailing, His promise secure. Don't know I'll stop yet. Everything will be alright. Whole world's in His hands. Your whole world's in His hands. In the darkness and the trials, He's faithful and He is true. The whole world's in His hands. You don't know I'll stop yet. Oh, oh, everything will be alright. Oh, oh,
yeah. Father, you said everything gonna be alright, but my circumstances say I won't last through the night. I need your word to hold me now, need you to pull me through. I need a miracle, a breakthrough. I need you. You say you hold the whole universe in your hand, but my world's falling apart like it is made of sand. Am I small enough to slip through these cracks? Can you take my broken pieces and put them back? Give me faith, you believe you're on my side. Open my eyes to see you working in my life. Let the past remind me you never fail, and tell my soul it is well. Oh, you don't know I'll start yet. Everything will be alright. The whole world's in His hands. Your whole world's in His hands. In the darkness, in the trials, He's faithful and He's true. Your whole world's in His hands. You don't know I'll stop yet. Oh, oh, oh. Everything will be alright. Oh, oh, so I'll start yet. Oh, oh, everything will be alright. Oh,
Yo, Padre, te confieso a corazón abierto que todo es muy incierto en este desierto. Mi vulnerabilidad está al descubierto. Siento que mi barca está muy lejos de su puerto. ¿Por qué será que ya no sale el sol en mis días? ¿Por qué mis noches son tan frías? ¿Por qué será que siento que me falta algo? ¿Por qué este camino gris se siente tan largo? Sé que estás sobrando aunque no te sienta. Sé que estás sobrando aunque no te vea. Sé que voy a salir de esta odisea. Sé que voy a ganar esta pelea. Sé que va a cesar esta marea temporaria. Que en ti yo viviré una vida extraordinaria. Que aunque no pueda entender, me consuela saber que todo.
yo sé que todo va a estar bien. Everything will be alright. It will be alright. The whole world's in His hands. Your whole world's in His hands. In the darkness, in the trials, He's faithful and He's true. Your whole todo va a estar bien. Oh, oh, oh. Everything will be alright. Oh, oh, oh. Y todo va a estar bien.
Todo.
Oh, oh, oh. Everything will be alright.
Todo va a estar bien.
Oh, oh. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands.
Todo el mundo.
Todo el mundo en su mano está. Todo el mundo en su mano está. Todo el mundo en su mano está.
Y todo va a estar bien.
On that note, everyone, have an amazing rest of your afternoon. Have a great day tomorrow. Join us again tomorrow morning for In His Presence, first thing in the morning, followed by the Pastor Steve Show. And again, I look forward to seeing y'all next week on another episode of Yes with Yesse. Have a great night.
There's a name that is
Are you facing a relationship crisis?
love that
Don't know what to do next? Call our family counseling office and get the help you need today. 954-533-8187. 954-533-8187.
Help me mend my